First, we're going to set up the chromatography run and enter some starting materials, things like that. We will then import the unicorn data directly into the spreadsheet. We'll register the fractions to inventory, and finally do some data capture. So, like I just said, we're going to start with some chromatography run setup. Before I press play on this demo, what you are going to see is the user enter some starting materials for the run, some column details from inventory, optionally equipment, materials, and preparations that they may use. All of this may look familiar to what Sylvia and Matt presented earlier, and then preparation of the feedstock with material pooling. So, in this demo, you can see that the user has queried a starting material, also a column, and then we can see some materials have been added to the inventory tab, a preparation has been made, and then in the material pooling, they have pooled together. There's only one starting material in this example, so they've said how much of that is added to the pool, and then they have created this pool, which is serving as the feedstock for the chromatography run. Before I play this video, what you are about to see is a data import via the data source manager, which is going to automatically populate process description and fraction data. And then from there, with that data, you can enter some sample information for each fraction and register this data to inventory. So in this video, we're going to open up the data importer, which is a tool similar to Inventory Quick Finder within the web editor. Then this will open up the data source manager. This is a new end user interface tool that is used for both administrative purposes of connecting to the integration, and it also allows users to actually add and select this data. So that's what you're seeing here, a user selecting this run data and importing it into the data importer. And then from there, we're able to actually add it into the spreadsheet. So once this is queried here, we will then see this data automatically populate into the spreadsheet. We can now see the process description data shows up. So we can see the steps and stages of the chromatography run. Now we can go through the spreadsheet as intended. We can add things like buffers. So here we're selecting a buffer from a list of materials that we queried in earlier. And then we can add starting and final percentages of these buffers. Once those are entered, we're going to move to the fractions tab. And again, you can see all of the fractions from Unicorn automatically populated into the spreadsheet. We're going to add a number of samples for each fraction. We can add things like sampling date and time, the volume of each sample, and the location ID if desired. Once all this is populated, then we are going to register these fractions to inventory. The important thing here is that registering these fractions creates this genealogical link between the fractions and the feedstock that we started with. This is important because this genealogical link then connects to the data backbone, which can then be used for things like Insight, which Bryce will touch on shortly. So here you can see it in inventory. And once we close out of that, we'll move to the sample measurements tab. For time's sake, I'm not going to show actually entering this data, but within the spreadsheet, you can move through it as intended, and you can enter some ad hoc sample measurements if desired. And that's about it for the spreadsheet side of things.